I'm gonna prove that people still need fairy godmothers. Me again? I'm your fairy godmother.
Back off, lady.
Not that Disney movies have ever not been popular, but it seems like in recent years, it's become a bit more sort of culturally embraced to be an adult Disney fan. What is it about, those types of stories, Disney as a brand, that you think just sort of completely resonates with people, even, regardless of whether they have kids or are kids?
I think it's the nostalgia, right? It's the feeling that there's not one person on this earth who hasn't seen a Disney movie, it feels like almost. It's so there's at least one where you say like, that's me, or I remember feeling a certain way while I was watching that film. But it's from our childhood, it's most likely. So it's I don't know, it kind of connects to the kid in us. Like you said, I still go to Disneyland like 4 or 5 times a year if I can, because it reminds me of being a happy child and carefree.
Recite it with me, please.
A glittery gown turns a frown upside down.
Ooh.
There are these great classic movies and people still love them. Of course, there are some things that, we might have moved on from culturally, that might be a little dated. This movie kind of addresses that. Is it interesting for you to get to, both embrace those things, but also maybe put a little modern spin on them?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's hard when you just whether or not you're watching a Disney movie, but when you're reading, the Grimm brother fairy tales, how often you have to tweak the language within the story, or, change the trope of the princess needing a knight in shining armor, or that the stepmother's always evil, or that the woman's always been abandoned by her mother. And there are so many stereotypes and things that are just you do not want your kids to be raised, with that. So it's definitely, I've always been kind of restructuring them when I've told them those stories. And this is what's great about this one, is that here we're saying that Happy Ever After is so personal. You can choose your own ending. We don't have to necessarily have a palace and a dress and a prince.
Is this your true love?
Not anymore. Life isn't always a fairy tale.
Jillian, your character obviously embodies that. She has some sort of preconceived notions. So did you get to play a character who gets to learn that lesson? Has you're sort of passing that on to the audience as well?
Yeah, I think that's what I loved about her arc so much, is that she goes from sort of what we've considered the traditional fairy tale take on the prince and the gown of the castle, like Isla said, to really opening it up to humans are complex and they're beautiful and they love different things, and love and happily ever after doesn't have to mean the same thing every time for every person. Mm-hmm. And that's it's what makes this movie so special, and it really just connects to modern times. It was just a little antiquated, that old way. So it's nice to be a part of something that's for kids and adults that can show, hey, we can still, have a bit of magic, a bit of fun, and make people laugh, but also have a real decent message at the heart of the film.
I'm looking for a sad little girl named Mackenzie Walsh.
That is me.
No, it can't be you. You're old. Have you seen yourself?
Security.
This is a comedy, but it's a family film too, of course. So you guys being naturally funny people, did you have to maybe sometimes curb the temptation to go a little bluer with some of the material?
You know what I love about Jillian's sense of humor? Because Jillian is really, rated R hilarious, but she's also, she can also do family comedy. And I realized really early on, I thought, thank goodness I wasn't having to improv comedy in this genre, because I actually realized that every joke that comes to my mind is quite puerile. Whereas Jillian would say things like, who eats this much seafood? And she'd be sharks. And she just riffed that. And she had so many of those really funny moments, like when she's in the basement and she's singing about, I'm in this is the song you sing when you're in a dungeon. That's all from her imagination in character. And that's what I loved most about working with Jillian.
I'm getting word for word what you just said tattooed on my back. It's the best compliment I've ever been given once in a while.
You're starting to believe in magic, aren't you?